Hello, everyone. Good afternoon in Saudi Oman. Good morning in US, and good evening in Malaysia and Singapore. A very warm welcome to all of you joining us today for this inspiring session and the webinar series, which we have started especially to give the tribute to the leaders of the world. The series is named as Voices That Move Nations, a global leadership tribute. I am Dr. Nuslia Nushra Akhter, CEO and Director of MY Business Management and Trading, and as well as MY Holding Saudi Arabia. And it's my truly a pleasure to have you all here today. And I have a wonderful guest with us today. But before we begin, I would like to take a moment to introduce my organization behind this initiative. MY Business Management and Trading Oman and MY Holding Saudi Arabia. We are a dynamic company committed to empowering individuals and organizations through leadership development, business solutions, and impact learning experiences. Our mission is to create platforms that inspire growth, foster innovation, and connect global voices that truly makes a difference. Today's session is a reflection of that vision, bringing together knowledge, experience, and meaningful conversations that can transform the way we think about leadership and personal well-being. We are especially honored to have with us an incredible speaker, Ms. Karen Tan, who will be sharing valuable insights on Your Body is Speaking, the hormone secrets every woman needs to know. She's from Malaysia, and I think this is the topic that resonates deeply with so many, and I'm confident that she will walk through with so many things, and you will be having a very powerful takeaways from it. Before we start the session, I would like to introduce Ms. Karen to all of you. She's a passionate advocate for women navigating midlife, dedicated to helping women feel understood, supported, and empowered during perimenopause and menopause stages. She's a certified HRD Corp, HRDF trainer, menopause and diet coach, and workplace wellness specialist as well. Ms. Karen combines professional knowledge with her own lived experience. She understands deeply what many women go through. So today the stage is yours, Ms. Karen. Hi, how are you?
Thank you, Doctor. And good evening, everybody. Good morning to some of you. Wow, this is amazing. Thank you for having me here and giving me this platform to talk about something that I'm so passionate about.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Karen, for coming up here. We would like to know from you that what is your, how this idea comes in your mind to study about menopause.
Okay. So, first things first, we are going to go through this, whether we like it or not. Okay. So my journey actually started when I was 37 years old. And I actually experienced all this. And like most of us, we've been taught that there's no way this is something like perimenopause can happen to a woman at 37 years old. So I had those symptoms whereby I had severe joint pains. I was having very frequent vertigo and headaches. My mood was really up and down. Of course, again, like everyone will say, oh, just stress, because we handle so much, right? We all handle our work, our family, and everything that comes with it. And we tend to put ourselves last. That's the nature of women in general. And all of us will say, oh, I just need a good rest. But when I want to ask all of you listening in, right? If you have a child and your child is sick today, right now, you would drop this call and go and take your child to the hospital in a second. But yet, when it comes to us, what will we do? We take 2 aspirin and say, okay, I'm just going to go sleep. It will be fine tomorrow. So that has to change. That conversation has to change, because menopause is a state of our transition. And for me, what was my main pivot point was because after my surgical hysterectomy, so I suffered from surgical menopause, and within months, I not only had uh, most of the symptoms, which was hair loss, dry skin. I gained weight without even eating. I look at food and I put on 10 kilos. And then I started to have a lot of joint pain. So someone who exercised a lot, I started to, you just can't, because everything starts to hurt. And I was very tired all the time, which didn't help. And what actually was for me a pivot was I was seriously in such a bad space that I really contemplated suicide. So I want to impress on all of you listening in today is that a lot of times women in midlife, this is scientific proof that women from 45 to 54 have the highest rate of suicide, because and it hits a lot of us mentally, because a lot of misdiagnosed as well. 40% of women are misdiagnosed, and it's actually a hormonal issue and not a nothing that antidepressants can help. So this is something that medical people have to also realize, and for women to understand, you are not going crazy. You, whatever you're feeling is very legit, and you are not going crazy. And this is something that's having happened to our brain function that affects us. And so that's my story and why I do what I do today.
That's great. Okay, so my next question would be that if you have gone through so much, then how did you overcome from this?
Okay, so it's a lot of trial and error, Dr. Nuslia. So it's like, so because I had the surgical hysterectomy, I have a risk of cancers, and so I was advised best not to opt for hormone replacement therapy. So for those who don't know, that is short for that's HRT, which is actually synthetic hormones to help our body, because our body don't rejuvenate those hormones. It will just deplete more than half by the time we reach 50, and after postmenopause, your hormone levels really low. And the thing is, until recently, no one related that hormone that it will affect your organs. So that's why I'm saying it affects your brain. It affects the functionality of your brain, your heart, your bones, everything in your body needs hormone to function. So for me, why it really triggered was I realized that, we grew up believing everything the doctor says. So you believe that if they tell you, and when I went to the doctor, they said, well, this is normal. Or they dismiss me by saying it's normal. It's you're 50 now. That's how it is, that kind of thing. And I decided, when that rock bottom of trying to kill myself and all these things came about, I said to myself, I don't want to live like that. I'm only in my early 50s then, and I said, women are living past 80, past 90. So imagine staying for the next 30, 40 years where you don't have a life yet. You don't have quality of life. I said, this is not for me. So I really went into my journey where I looked into my cultural heritage. Being a Chinese, I studied traditional Chinese medicine. I went to India to learn about Ayurveda. I looked at the Indonesian or Malay culture of jamu. And what I noticed was nutrition is key component to our health. And nutrition with the food that we are eating today is highly processed. And just by shifting something as small as that can change your body. So I also realized that as we get older, we don't absorb those nutrition from food as well, right? So that's normal. That's part of old aging. We don't absorb as well. And also, to be fair, we cannot eat enough of that natural source to supplement our body. And that's why having good supplement is super duper important. And that is one of the component to the healing process. But the other thing is, of course, we all know, but we all don't want to do exercise.
Exactly.
Exercise is very, very crucial. You need that component because we are losing 10% of our muscle mass every decade. And muscles are so important because if you don't have that, you are likely to trip. You're likely to suffer from sarcopenia. So all these things are happening. And when you exercise, it's not just a physical thing, ladies. It also affects your brain because exercise build neurons, build your brain function. And that's why it helps because one of the symptoms all of you should know is that brain fog is very real. That's why suddenly, oh, did I lock the door? Oh, I left the stove running, that kind of thing. That's very, very common. And if you are working, think about how that affects your work environment. If you're constantly forgetting things, if you forget and your memory is off, or that you are so tired that you cannot function at work, don't you think that will risk your job opportunity?
Of course.
Right? Yeah. So this is just the two components. But the other thing is getting cortisol level, your stress levels controlled. So again, we live in a highly stressed environment. Women, we juggle family, career, and everything
Yeah.
else. Yeah. And we don't acknowledge that when your stress levels are very, very high, everything else will be pushed down, meaning whatever good food or good nutrition is not going to function because your cortisol will overcome everything. And that's why women, when you're highly stressed, there are women who become stress eating. So they eat their sugar, they eat their cakes, they eat their ice cream. Then what do? You put on weight. Or when you're stressed, you have breakouts, you have hives, you have pain. It all manifests in all these things that comes out from your body. And also is scientifically proven stress is the biggest trigger for any diseases that comes to us. So when you have stress, inflammation gets higher. Inflammation then turns into other forms of diseases. So it's not a one solution to solve a problem. It is a combination of things. And so when my journey, I studied everything. I studied the Western, I studied Eastern, I studied cold plunges, how it helps us. I studied breath work, a free tool that people are not using, breathing properly to bring down your nervous system. So all these things is where I teach people and give them tools that is sustainable for the rest of their life. Because like menopause, we have to live with it for the rest of our lives.
Yes, sure. Okay, tell about yourself to everyone, to all the audiences.
Okay, so I'm 58 young. I
And you
started
don't
this.
look like
Thank you. I started this journey because of that one afternoon where I sat at home crying after months of pain and just being not myself. And I contemplated hanging myself. And when I thought about that, the only reason I'm still here with all of you today is because the one thought that came to me was I can't bear the hurt and the disappointment and pain I would have caused if I'd done it to my children and to my husband. That was the only reason I did not go through with the plan. And this is why when we go through all this, ladies, if you're hearing this, your symptoms doesn't affect just you. You have your radius, your family, your colleagues, they are all going to be affected. And sometimes the thing is not, you may not realize it. So you must be open to yourself and let someone tell you, hey, you're not yourself. You're retreating. You're angry all the time. And be acceptable that there is that change so that you can heal. All right. So when I did that change, I'm blessed because I had my husband who helped me walk through that journey with me. And I took time off because I was in a very deep dark hole. I took time off um, to learn, to heal myself, to feel better, because you all have to agree. If you think you can, you can. If you think you cannot, you cannot. So if your brain is already in a negative space, if you think I'm going to die of cancer, you will definitely die of cancer. Right or not? I
True.
mean, right? Exactly. But if you think that you will heal, even if you were to take something with, let's say it's just water, but if the doctor say this is the best water, you will get healed by it. Your brain, if it's positive and it's willing, it will function. That is why people have proven again and again, people who think, imagine, and actually have the bandwidth to be in a positive space, they are able to heal better. So my journey, luckily, was my husband was my anchor. We walked through the whole thing. But what I did was I studied, as I said earlier, and I said, well, there must be some truth. You know, you talk about the ancient Egyptian culture, all that beautiful things that, all the culture and things that came up with the inventions, the Roman inventions, the Chinese, where they were known to have wonderful herbs and things like that. And I grow up where every time I have my period, or after my period, or if I'm sick, my grandma, my mother will say, okay, drink soup, good for you. All sorts of things. And there must be some merit to it. So I went into that journey, learning as much as I could. And I found a common thread amongst all of this, what was good for women, what was more for men, and all those things. And so I sat down with a lab, and we, did some formulation, and that's where I have my product. Because initially, I'll be selfish, this product was for me. I wanted to get well. I wanted to be happy again and be myself again. So it was all for me. But I noticed that when I implemented my framework of nutrition and all, and lifestyle and exercise plan that was all tailor-made for our clients, I noticed more and more our clients were feeling better and better. And of course, it's not overnight. Of course, it takes some commitment, but it's a sustainable, easy to follow program. So it's not like I starve you to death so that you can lose 10 kilos, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a medicine for weight loss also, because most of the ladies, the question is for weight loss, right?
Yes, weight loss is a big thing, right? But it's not medication. Let me be very, very clear. This is purely food, nutrition that your body needs. What it does, it kind of rejuvenate your body again, because when we Chinese say, the Chinese, we have the yin and the yang, the cold and the hot, right? So when we get into menopause, our reproductive starts to be cold. So it's not functioning anymore and all those things. So what we are trying to do is reactivate it naturally by giving it that ingredient boost and say, okay, now you got to heal and things like that. And from there, what we do is you will notice that why women started to lose weight was because they follow the program. Because let's not kid ourselves, if you don't exercise, you're not going to lose weight. If you don't spend energy, you're not going to lose weight. Okay, so you need to exercise. But what it does is it reduces the cravings. So we have women who say, oh, I don't feel hungry of, oh, I want to eat sugar or carb, which is usually the case when your estrogen level is very low. And they notice that they are also, like, because they have more energy and less joint pains, going to exercise seem like, oh, okay, I can do it, I can walk, right? So they make the effort. So it's all bit by bit, and it heals from inside. So this is why this is, to me, really, it's godsend.
Mhm. True. Okay, so many women feel something is off but can't explain it. What are the
Yeah.
most common signs of hormonal balance? What do you think?
Okay. So the feeling of I'm not feeling myself is one of the biggest quote that women will say, because you can't pinpoint it, right? So you can't pinpoint, you're like, I'm not sick, but I'm also not well. I'm not here nor there. So we tend to always say, oh, it has to be maybe I didn't sleep well, or I'm so stressed at work, that project I had to finish. So all this become excuses, but because they don't relate that to your hormones. And this is why I say, even Dr. Lisa Mosconi, a neuroscientist who studied the brain for women, and they found that, oh, the hormone affects the brain so much that, like, why we have the prefrontal cortex is where suddenly you forget things. You can read a page, and then you go, oh, halfway, oh, I forgot, and then you have to reread the page again and again, or you forget the brain fog that happens. And then from the back is your amygdala. So this is all your emotion. Due to the lack of progesterone, you're not sleeping well. So you're not when you don't sleep well, it's a domino effect, right? If you don't sleep well, you're already cranky the next morning. So then when you have that lack of progesterone, you're gonna have that problem where you're gonna say, you get easily sensitive. Like if someone to say, oh, your hair is not nice today, and then you go, what? You
Yeah.
want to kill
Why,
them,
why
right?
she's telling to me is like this, or why he is like telling to me like this, right? We become
Right.
angry more because too much stress is going on already. Our because what I feel is most of the women, they even don't understand their body, because this is something very important, that we have to learn our body, the changes what's going on inside the body. But
Yeah.
sometimes, especially in the Asian countries, people even don't understand that they are going through hormonal issues inside, they
Right.
are going through the menopause phases. Even the teenagers, the girls, when they go through the puberty age, there are so many things which are missing, especially for the mothers. This is something, which should be addressed also, maybe sometime in the future, with some of our speakers as well, like like that phase is that what are the hormonal changes which is going on inside, which usually we don't see much. So I think when we talk about the menopause stage as well, there are many women who even don't understand what's going inside their body. So this is something which needs to be identified first, and very important thing. Moving towards, I think you can start your presentation. Do you want
Oh,
to share the screen? Yeah.
okay. So I think I won't present so much because I believe we'll have only 45 minutes, so it will be too long for you. But what I like to also mention here is true. What you said is very true. Awareness and education is very, very important. So my role here is I want women to be, first, we must have conversation. So thank you again for letting me have this platform to actually bring this up, because one thing all of you need to know is menopause is not a disease. It's just a state of transition. All right. And most importantly is understand that we go through three major biological change. Puberty, as you mentioned, the reproductive age, which is the 20s, 30s, and all that. And now is the menopause stage, which I get this asked all a lot, is that yes, it will be until we die. Because a lot of women ask, when will it end? I say it will never end. It will be forever.
Okay.
So So if you remember puberty, we have our first period cycle, then you have the formation of your breasts and your body changes and your pimples and your moodiness, or when you have your period, you get cramps and all these cravings even. These are all that hormonal shifts that's happening to our body, but it recovers faster. And then we have the reproductive. So for those of you listening who have children, if you think about it, do you remember when you have your child after birth, and that time where you think you seem to forget things a lot? And we used to joke that every child you have, you lose some brain matter because you seem to forget things. That's a form of brain fog. And also, like, at that point, society is started to recognize that, oh, women suffer from postnatal depression.
Yes.
Yes, right? So suddenly it became like, oh yeah, now we understand and all these things. So society and doctors are very like, oh, okay, we recognize you have postnatal depression, so we have to take care of that. And when let's say a woman were to say, oh, I don't feel well, the doctor will say, oh no, normal lah. They won't, because they know that there's a solution. But for
Mhm.
menopause, because there's so little conversation, so little information about it, then it becomes like, okay, you're already what? What's you complaining? Like, suck it up, do it. and and that's not fair. I mean, because women are living older. So my take is, if you give up on yourself at 50 something, you're gonna have 30, 40 years before you actually die where you're not living your best life.
Of course.
So do you want that? You don't,
Mm.
right? That's why I said, because you need to understand that hormonal replacement therapy is great. But it doesn't work for everyone. Not everyone can take it. If you have risk, it is important to know your risk, to understand your risk. My take, because I am Asian, we generally prefer to go a holistic route before we take medication, because we have, I mean, let's be honest, sometimes you take a painkiller for something, but if you take the painkiller too often, you have kidney problems, right? And if you take too much of statin, there will be some other contraindications. So this is why I prefer to see, okay, let's try whatever I can first, as holistically as possible, so that
Mm.
if I need to, yeah, I would say, yeah, okay, if I need HRT, I'll do it, right?
Yeah.
So that would be my, but that's a personal journey. I'm not stopping anyone. I'm holding grace and space for everyone. Where for me, I just want to say, if I feel that you need, I would say, please, by all means, go for HRT, because it affects is fast. It affects will be more potent in a very short time. But it's about prevention, prevention, prevention. I want to
Mm.
take this moment to also talk about something that I feel a lot of women don't understand. So a lot of women think hormone is just your reproductive organ. Unfortunately, it's not. Like we already know, it affects your brain. But what happens is, it women die from heart diseases. 80% of postmenopausal women die from heart diseases. It's more potent and than breast cancer, than any other diseases. Why? Because a lot of women even at peri will already have one or all four of these symptoms: fatty liver, cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes,
Exactly. So
right?
many.
You may have one or you may have all four. And it all comes because of the depletion in estrogen. So when that is depleted, there's no more way for for the cholesterol to be metabolized, your insulin is not able to control your glucose level. All this starts to happen. And that's why when I teach what I teach, is that I teach women how to control your glucose level. Because the more spikes you have, the more inflammation you're going to get. And therefore, you're going to have more pain, disease, da 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 da. Then, how to eat the right food so your cholesterol level comes down. So I'm very, very proud to tell you I'm no longer in any cholesterol medication. I was at the beginning of my journey. I don't take it anymore. My fatty liver numbers was in the high 90s, very, very high. And I managed to bring it down to the low 40s right now. Still a journey, but that's a big improvement in 12 months. And most importantly is just like the you want to bring that all these numbers down where it's more manageable, so that you can say, okay, I have, if I stick by this, I may not need medication for a long time. If you need it, you need it, right? We agree on that, but we want to wait and push that down the road, not too early.
Yeah, of course, because medicine has different side effects, of course, for the body. We have still 10 minutes, so you can present because some of them have requested from US and Canada that they might be seeing our program after on YouTube as well.
Right.
So you can have a short presentation and about telling about the menopause and the hormonal issues.
Let me share with you some amazing stories. Is that all right?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, now I can see.
Okay. So this is one of the amazing, wonderful ladies that I've got to work with. So her name is Karen, just like me, but she's not related. And one of the first thing that when we notice is that she's one of those, very career driven, real professional, sharp on her work, dependable, the one that everyone calls when they need something done. But she noticed that she was having very easily tired. She would have major crashes afternoons, and that she would have heart palpitation, and just generally not feeling like herself. So she went to her local GP and ran all the tests, but everything came back normal. Okay. And she was told that, oh, maybe you just have to take some rest, or maybe it's your stress level, that kind of thing. So she did try to reduce her hours, or be more manageable with her hours. So, but it didn't work. But however, when she took action and took our 12-week transformation program, she not only, she started to, her brain fog was gone. She was able to think clearly, which helped with her work. She was less sensitive, so she was very much calmer. Her fatigue, gone. She was more energetic, and her weight gain start to stabilize because it was just going up, up, up. So within 3 months, it just the numbers didn't go up. So this is something that I'm really proud of her, because she really shifted and actually followed the program very carefully. This lady, she's her name is Cici, and she's a homemaker, 58 years old. And as a homemaker, she's dedicated to the family, the pillar of strength, always the one who get things done at home. But she noticed her mood was getting crazy. Like, she was yelling at the husband, snapping. She would get very angry, and her teenage children, two boys, didn't even want to be home. They avoided the household because they felt like everything was like walking on eggshells and all that. But like everyone else, she did not relate a symptom to hormone. She did not relate that it has to do with that. But with that 12-week transformation program that we did, her husband actually messaged me and she said, now she's not so sluggish and she's so much softer and nicer. That's his words. And that means, this is what I'm saying. It affects families. When you are not connected, it will affect everyone else. And of course, this is Kathy, and she is an insomniac. She just cannot sleep. There'll be periods where she's just walking around the house. Because of that, at first she thought it was the work stress because she is in a very high corporate, very intense. So she kept saying, "Oh, it's work. It's nothing. I'll be fine if I take a holiday," because she's only in the early 40s. So she, like no way, right? And so again, with her insomnia, her rage, her irritation was really bad. Lots of fights with her husband for no reason. And then she started to put on weight, and she's just feeling like, why I drink water, I put on weight. I look at food, I put on weight. Doesn't make sense. And again, yeah, she took on the 12-week program, and insomnia, sleep.
So tell about your program to everyone. Like, what do you do in that program? Like, what are the main features of it?
Okay, so in the 12-week program, what we do is we walk with you by having what we call a pre-consultation. The pre-consultation will also include a medical doctor as well as myself. The reason being is the medical doctor is the only one that can do the prescription and the test needed. So what we'll do is we'll find out what tests you need, and with that, you can take to your local lab to get those tests done. So you can be in Saudi, Oman, no problem with that test. You go to and get that done. And when that report comes back, you send it to us. Then we'll do a post-consult. From the post-consult, then we know exactly what is missing in your body. So for instance, like when your body is missing, there was one lady and she was just missing iron. And just by giving her supplement on iron, she just like changed. Everything started to function again, right? So sometimes it's a small matter, but at least we know, instead of you guessing and then you keep buying all sorts of supplement from the pharmacy, and it's not only a waste of money, but it's a waste of time. So what we are trying to do is we shorten all these processes so that you get the right information from the get-go, right? So that's the post-consult. From there, what I'll do is after the consult, I sit with the client and I'll find out exactly, okay, what do you like to eat? What is your schedule like? What's your work schedule like? Are you highly stressed? Are you not stressed? All that kind of thing. And I come up with a full 12-week plan where it's all about your nutrition, things that you like to eat. If you're a good cook, if you're not so good, I'll teach you how to do certain easy to go meals, but high in protein, high in the nutrients that your body needs, right? So that you have the right support nutritionally, and plus all the exercise and the supplements that you need so that you don't waste time and money again. Now, all this will also be supported because you will have every 2 weeks, you have to answer to me, which means if you are lazy, I'll start why did you go exercise? And keep you accountable. And I'm also there to hold your hand when you're feeling down. I'm also there when you have victory and you lost 1 kilo, yay, that kind of thing. So, and then you're part of our community where we have all the other ladies who will cheer you on and keep you moral up, because we need that. We need that community to support us. Sometimes it's not that your husband don't want to support. Maybe they don't understand. Sometimes it's not your best friend, because if your best friend is not going through the same problem, they won't understand either. So it's nice to not have to explain when you say, today I feel so sad. And then everyone is like, it's okay, we feel sad too. Everyone starts cheering each other up. And of course, this comes with the last bit, which is the after the 12th week, we'll do another medical consult just to see where you are. And what we do is a very it's not one size fits all, because sometimes things may go really well for the first 4 weeks, then maybe there's a plateau or maybe certain symptom pop up, then we'll adjust again. So that's why the 12th week, to give the body time to shift and also understand your body is life. It's not going to stay the same for the next 30 years. So what we teach you at the end, after your 12th week, you can keep tweaking until for the rest of your life. So it's not like, oh, I'm done 12 week and that's it. But you can always touch base with me, and then I will still keep on giving you value so that you can improve as we get older.
That's great. Just a quick question that is there any specific age to get enrolled in your program, like maybe more those who are above than 30, 40, like that, or anyone can
Anyone can.
okay,
Anyone
so
can.
even the
Yeah.
teenagers or anyone who is going through hormonal issues, they can join.
Yes, can definitely. So it's all very tailor-made. So we are very selective because we want people who will follow through the program, because it's no point you waste my time and your money if you don't follow through the program properly.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much, Miss Karen. We have Miss Savita and Miss Shumaila. Do you have any questions from Miss Karen which you wanted to ask?
Can you please elaborate about the duration and the amount to be paid and what are the things covered in the program?
Oh, okay. Savita, if you like, let me just give you the scan code. So what we'll do is, if you book, if you scan this, I will book a one-to-one. And that, because I need to understand you better first, so that we don't, understand your situation, what it is, and then I will share all those details with you. But this call is free. Normally, we do charge for this, but for Dr. Nuslia's community here, you can book it for free and we can have a conversation. Would that be all right?
Yeah, all right.
All right, great.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Karen. And I think Miss Shumaila also have some questions.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Actually, I have one question, that is it good for a child self-talking, like when he see any cartoon and movie, and he learn all the movie, all the pattern, and just a whole day or whenever he wants, he just repeat all the story by himself. Is it okay that we stop him, or we convert his diversion or something? Like, can you please tell me, is it okay?
Oh, okay. I'm not an expert with children's psychology. I'm in the menopause space, but I don't think there's anything to worry, as I'm speaking as just a mother of two young ladies now. If I'm assuming your son is very young, probably 7, 8. Am I right?
No, he's 10.
10. Okay. So he's just fascinated with movies and he has a good memory. So he obviously can remember all the lines. So it's actually a good thing. He has good memory, which means maybe you need to tweak around and see whether you can get him more excited with more knowledgeable things than just consuming the TV program kind of thing. Because he's probably, what you can take away is he's a visual learner, and probably that's why he's able to absorb so well, if that helps.
Yeah, actually, Ms. Shumaila, we will be calling a child psychologist as well in our webinar series soon. So you can join that and you can have a direct question from her as well.
Inshallah.
Okay,
Sure.
thank you so much. And Miss Karen, I would like to mention here, I will discuss with Miss Karen also that there will be a special discount for all those who have joined through the. Will you give some special discount as well, right, for those who will join the
The
program through
program.
our.
Okay, I will. But
Sure.
definitely, I mean, look, for me, is a journey, and I think we need just to support each other more.
Yes, yes, sure. So those who will be watching us live on the YouTube and they will connect with Miss Karen, there is a scan code. You can book a consultancy call with her, discovery call, and then after that you can mention that you are contacting her through our webinar, and then of course you will get a special discount also for
Yeah.
the program. And if you have any questions as well, you can on the comments you can mention your questions, and she will also be get back to you on your questions as well. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone. And soon we will be starting our next series, and from next week we will be having a different speaker, and we will be seeing you all in that as well. So thank you, and bye bye everyone.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.